Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook for the 5th of May. No, it is the 6th of May. And it is a special day, I have to say, here on Mark Vogan Weather on YouTube. It is the channel's 15th birthday, and it certainly has been an interesting road. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has been following pretty much from the beginning, but also over those 15 years, many, many more have joined on to the channel. So I want to just share my gratitude that if it wasn't for yourself, this channel would not exist. Content at the moment, 6 days a week, but that will go to 7 days a week in the next few weeks as we start to get into the summer season and also the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season also. So, couple of dates for your diary. Sunday the 25th of May, at around 4 p.m, possibly 3 p.m, but I've yet to finalise that. The release of the summer forecast for Europe, as well as the Atlantic hurricane season forecast as well. So a very important day coming up this Sunday, the 25th of May, for the release of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season and summer forecast. There has been, now this will be the 15th consecutive summer forecast. I have released, I believe, 16 winter forecasts over that period of time. And really, it's over the past 4 or 5 years that this channel has really exploded. There was a period when markvoganweather.com was a subscription-based website. That no longer exists. Well, the channel exists, the website exists, but there is no longer, paid content. So absolutely everything is free that I deliver both on YouTube as well as on the website. So more reason to stick around. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. But there has been a lot of work over the years put in. Some good forecasts, some not so good forecasts, it has to be said. But we shall wait and see what this upcoming season brings, both hurricane season as well as the summer forecast as well. So, yes, high pressure remains dominant across the UK, Ireland, much of western areas of Europe at the moment. And that is going to be continuing as we progress through the rest of this working week. Wanted to look back, by the way, at the hailstorm that took place over the weekend in Paris, France. Pretty wild stuff, actually. This is a tweet here from our friend at the Weather Monitor, showing the hail battering off a building in the centre of Paris. So thunderstorm rolled through. Pretty dramatic scenes, it has to be said, in and around the Paris area. Let me just see here, I think I've got another image to show you from the ground level, obviously. And of course, we have seen thunderstorms across parts of the UK, particularly England and Wales, over the past few days as well, thanks to weather essentially circulating around this area of high pressure. Feeling chilly, it has to be said, on that east coast. These were the temperatures yesterday. And I wanted to point this out. Also, a very cold morning, both yesterday morning as well as this morning. So these were the temperatures yesterday, and I want to show you the kind of standout figures. We had a 9.8 for a maximum at Inverbervie on the Aberdeenshire coast, but we also had quite a few 8s. Look at this here at Loftus Samos in Yorkshire, temperature of only 8.1 Celsius. We had Amberley. Albemarle Barracks, I'll get there. Albemarle Barracks, I think that is, at 8.6 for a maximum yesterday. Further west, with shelter, we did see temperatures into the mid-teens, both across western UK as well as Ireland also. But the temperatures dropped to the lowest values for probably a couple of years anyway across the UK. Under clear skies, light winds, very dry air. We did see the temperature drop to minus 4.7 at Altnahara. We did see, it was a couple of mornings ago, it was 5 years since a temperature of minus 6.6 was recorded at Kinbrae, Sutherland. That was the UK's coldest May night since 1997. There was a -6, incidentally, at Catesbridge, County Down, Northern Ireland. That was Northern Ireland's coldest May night since the early 1980s. So, yes, it can still get cold, and the next couple of nights are going to also be rather chilly, where you've not got any breeze, where you've got cloud-free skies, and obviously the dry air heats and cools rather quickly at this time of the year. I also have to remind everybody that the live stream is back this weekend at 4 p.m. as usual. So the live streams return this upcoming weekend, and that should be the case from now on, give or take any kind of major event, or I have to go away for any particular reason. The live streams are back permanently once again as of this upcoming weekend. Wanted to also show you, by the way, the GFS. This is obviously the operational run. It changes all the time, but well, there hasn't been much in the way of change in terms of high pressure. It's just been so dominant from the back half of February, where I recorded my driest month on record, albeit the record is fairly short lived. But February was dry, March was dry, April was dry. We're starting to see rumblings about hose pipe bans, especially across Southern Ireland, for example, but also parts of the UK as well. May have to start talking more and more about the potential of water shortages as we move towards the early portions of the summer. It's hard to believe that we're starting meteorological summer in just a few weeks' time. But look at this here. This is how it starts. Now, this is interesting because this is how it starts. This is sea level pressure anomaly. You can see here higher than average pressure across the UK and Ireland, as can be seen here. But this is how it ends at the very end of the run. You can see here that it shows lower pressure. No, in fact, I don't know why. I thought it was showing a deep low, but it's actually starting to fool me here because I must have been seeing things there. But look at this here, right? So just bear with me a second here. Play through this loop. Look at how dominant the area of high pressure remains over the UK as well as Ireland here, all the way through. In fact, it actually strengthens towards the middle portions of this month, especially just to the north of the UK as well as Ireland. But that high pressure is remarkably persistent over the UK as well as Ireland here. I was convinced, by the way, it showed a 970 something millibar low near or over the UK towards the end of the run, which was around about the 18th. This may have just updated and it's taken that away, which is interesting. This just shows you how much model by model run you can't really go by it because it fluctuates too much. But this is very interesting how we do start to see lower pressure returning as we move towards the 18th, 20th of May. So that's something worth paying attention to here. Let's have a quick look at the ECMWF in terms of the mean sea level pressure. Back to the here now, play through the loop here. Again, remains anchored. We do have quite a deep trough, by the way, over Iceland and Greenland. We also have lower pressure down towards Iberia. We need to keep an eye on that feature here as we progress towards the middle and second half of this work week. It may try to throw a little bit more instability up into the southern half of the UK, possibly Southern Ireland. We've also got a frontal system that's going to be trying to edge in from the north as we move towards the weekend here. But you notice here, yes, heights are starting to lower as we move towards the early portions of next week, but then the pressure rebuilds once again and really becomes strong over the UK, Ireland, much of Western and Northern Europe, it has to be said, towards the back half of next week. And that pressure is really strong compared to average up towards Sunday the 18th of May here. So this is the ECM. I showed you the GFS a second or two ago, and it just is the same old story. A lack of rainfall, and this streak really is pretty incredible, actually, when you think about it. So let's have a quick look at the rainfall. This is all the way out to Tuesday the 20th of May, by the way. Southern Europe, Eastern Europe, wet. But notice here we've got this hole and lack of precip. Bear in mind this is from, the 6th right the way through to the 20th of May. There is parts of the northern UK that barely sees a drop of rain. So let's have a quick look at the UK view here and see what it is showing. So it's British Isles. Let's play through this loop. You can see here that yes, we've got a feed of northeasterly winds that is going to continue to keep the coast chilly, but also feeding in more in the way of cloud cover, possibly thick enough cloud to produce a few spits and spots of rain here. Notice here that we're picking up perhaps a millimetre of rain towards Thursday into Friday. There's the frontal system edging towards the northwest of the UK towards the early portions of the weekend. But again, no real measurable rainfall across pretty much all of both Ireland as well as the UK. This is all the way to Saturday. So between now and the beginning of the weekend, with the exceptions of the Lincolnshire, Norfolk, Suffolk, Kent coast, for example, we may see not a single drop of rain. And this is bad news considering what we've seen so far. Continue to play through this loop. There's some moisture possibly getting driven up from the south here. There's that area of low pressure, remember I mentioned, possibly pushing northwards. We're seeing the heights lowering on the model from above to below average. That means that we're going to open the door to much more unstable air that will precipitate and generate some reasonably heavy rainfall, it has to be said, towards the weekend here and into the early portions of next week. So it looks as if Ireland and Northern Ireland is picking up on some fairly significant amounts of rain here, or a reasonable amount, sorry. I say significant, I suppose 20 to 30 millimetres of rain is a significant amount of rain, given the fact that we've not seen that kind of rain, with the exceptions of perhaps a thunderstorm or two locally. We've not seen that since the run-up to the Easter weekend. That amount of rain falling. So that will be good news. That will be welcome news. But notice the majority of the mainland UK, right the way out to Tuesday of next week, sees barely a drop of rain. We are seeing some rain moving in the parts of Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, for example, possibly extending eastwards into Dorset as well. But the London area, Birmingham, Manchester, and then points northwards, literally no rain to speak about according to the ECMWF. This is all the way out to the middle of next week here, the end of next week. Again, there's places that are seeing no rain between now, Tuesday, the 6th of May, all the way out to Friday, the 16th of May here. So that's a 10-day period of literally no rain. And you can see here, there's a very slight amount of rain starting to show up in the model towards the end of the run, which is all the way out to the Wednesday, the 21st of May. So, yes, the dry conditions are going to remain. It looks as if both the GFS and the ECMWF actually has that high slightly weaken through the weekend and then re-strengthens during the course of next week here. So, very, very continued, persistent high pressure. There doesn't appear to be any major breakdown on the horizon anytime soon, but May continues all the way out to the 30th. Is it 30th, 31st? So 31 or 30 days in May. I can't remember off the top of my head. But remember, you could get a return to lower pressure through the final week to 10 days of the month. That could change things. That is something that has to be said as well. I'm not necessarily just saying this can be completely dry right the way through till the end of May. And, this is going to continue right the way into the summer season. I know I'm not naive enough to think that is going to be the case, but nevertheless, certainly very interesting to see how persistent this area of high pressure is. So let's have a quick look at the 500 millibar anomalies of the GFS ensemble for the upcoming next week or two here. So go to the GFS ensemble. Let's look at the 500 and the 500 increments here. The model is updating, so we'll look at the 00Z run of the model. So this is the upcoming 5 days. High pressure, again, dominating particularly the northern half of the UK here. We've got the obviously winds coming around the area of high pressure, which is going to bring a cool feel, onshore flow, increased cloud, some showers, we will see a few spits and spots of rain, a millimetre or two perhaps in the areas exposed to that northeasterly flow coming in off the North Sea. We've obviously got lower pressure down across France and Iberia here, where things can be more unsettled, and that trough actually extends from western Russia all the way down into the southwestern corner of the continent. If you notice here, the 6 to 10 day looks like this here. Again, the high, look at where it's positioned. Central northern UK, lower pressure down towards Iberia. So this is the period 11th through the 16th of May. The 11 to 15 day period, not really any change. And this is all the way to the 21st, by the way. And you can see here the same old story. In terms of precipitation anomaly, let's have a quick look and see what it's showing. So upcoming 7 days, bone dry is the story. This is actually the newest run, by the way, of the model. This is the 8 to 14, sorry. So that's the 13th through the 20th of May. Again, drier than average. Even the day 10 through 16, drier than average. What is the temperature anomalies looking like for this time frame then? So upcoming 5 days, you can see here that we actually are below average across parts of southern UK, warmer than average the further north you go. Very cool compared to average. Northeastern Europe and right the way down towards the southwest, it's actually below average here. The majority of Europe is actually below average because of the position of the high, centred over the northern UK. Winds coming around the eastern side of that high is dragging in some colder continental air and driving it south. Now we are on the northern flank of that tongue of below average, so we are feeling that effect across parts of particularly coastal England, but the majority of southern UK is actually below average in terms of temperature. Day 6 through 10 were still warmer than average. We're starting to see the temperatures going above average across the southern UK, where it's slightly below over the next 5 days. And then the 11 to 15 day, you can see here again, close to average across the far south and southeast, warmer than average, albeit just slightly across the majority of the UK as well as Ireland here. So certainly very interesting stuff going on at this moment in time. Current temperatures then across the UK and Ireland were generally 10 to 12 Celsius, 14 Aviemore, mid-teens around the central belt. And then as you go further south over England and Wales here, we're still clinging on to only 10 or 11 Celsius as we creep towards the 12:30 p.m. time frame. We're talking about 16 Celsius at Claremorris in Western Ireland, and we're generally 10 Celsius along the east coast of that would be Down, I think, where we've got 15 Celsius at Thomastown and Castlederg. So 15 in the west of Northern Ireland, away from any cooling influence of the water, but only 10 Celsius where you've got the breeze coming in off the North Channel. So that is the temperatures across the UK and Ireland. This is how the continent is looking. Again, not hugely warm for the 6th of May, it has to be said. We've got some cooler air across northern Sweden, Norway, Finland. No real surprise there. Temperatures into the low 30s down across parts of western Turkey, upper 20s down across southern Greece, for example, here. But we've not got any hugely warm weather to speak about. I want to just quickly show you the month to date so far of the, I should have pulled this up, but of the CDAS data here. So bear with me a second. Month to date. So this is the upcoming, or should I say, this is the past 5 days. Look at how cool it has been actually over parts of northern Africa, which is quite interesting. Far southern Africa, below average as well. And we've got a mix and match of warm and cold across North America, mostly warmer than average across South America. Asia as well, we've got Mongolia warmer than average, northeastern China well below average for the opening of May, warmer than average across eastern and southeastern China. But I want to show you Europe in particular, and this is how the month of May has started. Slightly below average across the far north of Scotland. That will change over the next 5 days. Slightly below average across the northeast, slightly below average across the southwest, warmer than average in the middle. This is going to change. If that GFS ensemble is correct, we're going to cool things down across much of mainland Europe, from Russia to Spain and Portugal, I think, over the next week or so here. But I wanted to actually show you the 1 day increments here and the extremes that we have seen. So this is today, but I want to show you a couple of interesting things. So look at how below average yesterday was. This is going back to Sunday, and you can see here the very warm opening to the month of May, and then the change over to something colder. So it's interesting how the air masses have shifted around depending on the position of the high. So this is obviously how May began. You can see the core of warmth, UK, Ireland, and the near continent, colder than average across western Russia, extending into Finland. Play through this loop, and you can see here how that cooler air has moved in from the northeasterly winds. Remember, as the high shifted west, pushing the heat away from the UK and Ireland into Europe and then southwards here, and that replaced by something much, much colder, UK, Ireland. So a big flip around, obviously, in temperature. Remember, we're talking about temperatures, yesterday only 8-9 Celsius. Back over the course of the weekend, late last week, we're talking about temperatures into the mid-20s in the same places. So very big flip around, but that happens during the springtime, of course. But yeah, this is quite an interesting change to something a lot cooler. But as that high, by the way, starts to build back in, we're going to start to warm things up the further north you go over the UK as well as Ireland. Have I mentioned everything? I hope so. Just bear with me another little second here, everybody, and we can see what if I've forgotten anything of interest. Big drop in the North and South Atlantic SSTs. This is a tweet here by David Birch, showing that the temperatures in the North and South Atlantic actually were 1.5 degrees above average. It's now edging closer to average, which is rather interesting. The Atlantic, that is obviously important regarding the Atlantic hurricane season. River flows, we're starting to see the red dots appearing because of the very dry conditions, and exceptionally dry anywhere from the far northeast of England all the way down in the Midlands region. Not just as bad across parts of southern UK, and then down towards the southwest. We've actually got the noticeably high river flows, which is quite interesting. This is a tweet by Marco Patagna. We'll just see here anything else that's interesting. Very warm waters compared to average. In fact, some of the warmest waters across the northern hemispheres is surrounding the UK and Ireland at the moment. That could lead to more moisture released into the atmosphere, producing more thunderstorms and flash flood events as we move towards the summer season. All it takes is low pressure to return to the UK and Ireland, and then with that warm fuel surrounding the UK and Ireland, we could increase rainfall going into the summer season. So that's something to consider, but also equally with dry ground, high pressure, warm surrounding sea surface temperatures, we could even see some significant heat this upcoming summer as well. I think there's possibly a bit of extremes of both. Flash floods events, heat could be a story this upcoming summer season as well. So is that everything? Yes. I think I've covered everything. It's been a longer video today, but I hope you've enjoyed that. 15th birthday to Marv Hogan Weather here on YouTube. Got the live stream coming up this Sunday. Summer and Atlantic hurricane season forecast coming up 25th of May. Lots of reason to stick around. Content absolutely free. 6 days a week. It will be going back to 7 days a week towards the end of this month and beginning of June, and that will carry right the way through the summer season. So hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll hopefully be back again tomorrow with more. Bye bye.